Castle Museum in York is famous not only for its attempts to preserve and present artifacts, but also for its intent to bring the vivid pageant of York's past to life. Their latest project is to show period costumes which were designed to be worn for special occasions, as opposed to everyday wear. Pat Clegg conceived and coordinated the project.
The idea behind this exhibition was to tie together the dresses, the occasions for which they were worn, and the music of the times. We started off calling it the music, the dance, and the dress, and we finished up calling it purely for pleasure, for that is what it is about.
However, as preparation for the exhibition proceeded, Pat Clegg became increasingly concerned that dresses designed for dancing are not shown to their best advantage in a static display. So, to get around this problem, she extended the project and put the costumes into motion. The plan was to open the exhibition of costumes and launch it by staging an evening of dance at the assembly rooms, showing the costumes in action. Before this could take place, a great deal of hard work had to be done, both on the exhibition and in preparation of the evening.
David Venables, our designer, has recreated appropriate backgrounds against which the dresses are shown. This kind of work requires considerable historical research to achieve the right effect.
David began by creating his designs on paper, and then he built scale models of the cabinets. The rooms and the cabinets were originally designed for their aesthetic value. So David had to go to the extent of constructing false walls to use the space to its best advantage. The cabinets were altered and then carefully prepared for painting. The overall colour was then sprayed on the backdrop in preparation for more detailed artwork. This finished cabinet has required many hours of work to create the correct effect. However, preparation and preservation of the costumes is an equally time-consuming and skilled job.
Jane McKinley, our costume conservator, worked many hours to bring the dresses to near perfect condition. As dress fabrics age, they become progressively more and more delicate. Jane's job is to help ensure their continued survival.
When looking at the costume chosen for display, I had to decide whether or not they were strong enough to be displayed for a prolonged period. As the exhibition was speedily planned, many dresses were rejected as the time needed to conserve them would be too great. Every object has its own unique problems, and the time necessary to conserve them varies. The black and gold sequin dress of the 1920s needed completely lining to support the surface decoration, and therefore took several hundreds of hours of time. However, the blue silk 1840s evening dress only needed the minimum of treatment before it could be mounted for display.
As a part of the preparation of the evening of dance, many items of clothing needed totally reproducing.
I'm making a copy of an 1840s crinoline, which is one of the earlier types. And crin means horsehair, so this is actually horsehair. And it's softer than some of the later styles of crinoline. And I'm actually making it in a very stiff net.
This is a trial design which is known as a toile. These were made up to ensure the design features are all historically correct, and to be certain that the garment will fit before being made up of more expensive fabric. Original costumes could not be used in the dance display as they're both too fragile and in many cases irreplaceable. Apart from this, they're unlikely to fit, as can be seen here. The shape of the human body has changed considerably over the past 200 years. As it was impossible for the museum to make all the costumes in time, Pat Clegg proposed that the sixth form girls at Queen Anne's Grammar School reconstructed the costumes as an A-level needlework project. The dressmaking teacher, Anne Pearson, was most enthusiastic because it made such positive demands on the girls' skills. The girls had to draft their own patterns from sketches of dresses in books and rediscover forgotten techniques. Of course, the dresses had to be accurate, to the last detail. There was no chance of altering the pattern to avoid some difficulty. The reproduction had to be exact. All the girls thought it was an extremely rewarding experience, and they were able to wear their dresses because Pat Clegg had approached local schools to provide the dancers for the evening. A great deal of work went into the dance rehearsals, organised by Isabel Dunn. Many of the steps and moves had been forgotten, so Isabel and a colleague dusted off a few old books to rediscover the steps. Not only did it take time to learn the steps, but it took time to gain the right degree of finesse. But it was all right on the night. On the night of the performance, there was a great bustle of preparation. Some wigs were brought in for the more outrageous fashions of the 1770s, and a skilled hairdresser, Chris Schofield, created period hairstyles for the girls. Here, she's working on an elaborately plaited bun to complement an early 19th century Regency dress.
So I'm teaching a bit further away, so it took me quite a while to get there. I quite enjoyed it last time they did a show because it was in the museum itself.
Oh, they've done another one. This is the only one I've heard.
They did one about 2 years ago, I think it is. And actually they did it in the museum, and they had the wigs as well. Well, I'm just doing the hair. I don't know whether the wigs have come or whether they're actually in the museum.
I think some wigs have come. I think I've heard somebody saying some. But I'll still be ready.
It's a case of organised chaos. Yeah. I love doing the powdered wigs.
Whilst the girls had their hair dressed and were made up, the boys received final instructions. With the tension mounting, there was also time to compare rank. It was not long before they were performing the Lancers. This is a square dance which survived into the early 20th century, danced to the music of popular songs of the time. A comic feature was made of the polka, as the couple were always spinning in the same direction and the lady frequently became dizzy. The waltz dates from the 1840s onwards and was danced by girls wearing costumes from the early 19th century and featured three dresses from the middle of that century. So Pat Clegg and her team successfully produced an evening of dance, which was of benefit to the museum, the dancers, the dressmakers, and the audience alike, who all found that it was, in the end, pure for pleasure.